This is Old Movies for Young Stoners, the podcast where we pair cannabis with cult and classic films to enhance your trip through cinema history. The dank diplomat Ngaio Bealum is back, and we are living the dream here on the podcast with a pair of thoroughly oddball classics about strivers and dreamers with, let's just say it, some odd fixations. First, Nobuko Miyamoto is Tampopo. It means dandelion. She's a single mom with dreams of crafting the best ramen in all of Japan. And Tsutomu Yamazaki is Goro, the cowboy trucker who rides into town and pushes her to live her dream in Tampopo, a surreal ramen western from director Juzo Itami in 1985.
And then Don Knotts is a bespectacled dweeb with dreams of being a fish. And those dreams come true after he falls off a pier at Coney Island. Once he's a fish, he finds true love and helps the U.S. Navy beat the Nazis in the incredible Mr. Limpet, a half-animated cult classic from Warner Brothers in 1964.
And soon we will find out what strain will turn you into a fish when we come back on Old Movies for Young Stoners.
You're another worthless slob. You still live at home with your parents. Can't find a steady job. You stay up late at night. You click on your TV. You flip around 1,000 channels. Keep coming back to me. Come to my seminar. 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 Come to my seminar.
And we're living the dream here on Old Movies for Young Stoners with Come to My Seminar by Count Dante and the Black Dragon Fighting Society. Greg, I think you know a little something about Count Dante, right?
I do. I mean, he was the guy that was in the back of the comic books, right? And
Kung Fu Magazine.
Yeah.
He's the deadliest fighting secrets you could buy for like $1 and never actually get the product.
Yeah.
He defeated all the masters in fights to the death, I do believe.
Yes, he did that. He did that thing.
Oh, and also, I think he had a rock band too, right?
Yeah, I think you in a previous life might have driven in a shitty van to Oregon with him.
I think he's also my real dad.
It could have also been Dennis Erectus or the Sheik of Physique.
We'll never know.
You're like the Mamma Mia of today.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this is Old Movies for Young Stoners, the podcast where cannabis is a gateway drug to classic cinema. Please like us and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, and check us out on our website at oldmoviesforyoungstoners.com and write to us at oldmoviesforyoungstoners.com at Gmail. I'm Bob Calhoun, and joining me are Greg Franklin.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And Philena Franklin.
Hey.
And since Corey has just moved to Arkansas, yeah, you heard that right, he now lives in Arkansas, and he's still unpacking. Joining us this week is cannabis comic and activist. He is global. He is worldwide. You can find him on all the social medias at Ngaio420. He's the dank diplomat, Ngaio Bealum.
Hey! Always good to be here.
It's always good to have you, Ngaio. And hey, you're about to head off to Europe. And
I'm going to Barcelona and Copenhagen and Denmark. Or they're the same spot. And maybe Lisbon and then Berlin, yeah.
Can you take us with you, Ngaio?
Please.
Can you fit in the suitcase? And actually, it's a carry-on because I travel crazy cheap and light, bro. So I can meet you there. I can show you around.
Now, will you be returning to the United States, or will you seek asylum?
No, I will. I actually have some shows in New Mexico. I'm doing Santa Fe and Hobbs in Albuquerque. I'll be there in Albuquerque for the New Mexico Growers Cup, and then I'm doing some comedy shows. I'll be at the Tumble Root in Santa Fe and somewhere in Hobbs. I can't remember the name of the place. Hobbs, gateway to Roswell. It's right there on the West Texas border. You got to be careful. Because West Texas cops don't like weed. It's legal in New Mexico, though. Make sure you read the street sign correctly. Don't wait till the last exit to get off, is what I'm saying.
So the country's going through some upheavals in Ngaio. We don't really want to get too specific about them. But what is the state of weed right now?
It is still delicious and ever present. I don't expect too many national laws to change in the next 3.5 years. State by state, I think we will see more legalization, especially in the South, like Florida, maybe even, well, probably not Texas yet, but Georgia perhaps. And they're relaxing laws everywhere. Like New Orleans, Louisiana has decriminalized a great deal. Lots of Texas has decriminalized a great deal. So it's just a lot easier. It's going, probably in 3 years, almost every state will have some sort of medical decriminalization on the books, except for maybe Idaho.
Oh yeah, Idaho.
They
sucks.
just really can't stand it.
Yeah. It's a pretty hateful place, Idaho.
I've had some good times in Idaho, so I can't,
Well, you can have good. There's good people
are
everywhere.
And problems are problems. What's that?
There's good people everywhere.
There's good people everywhere.
Little pockets.
And they have a potato museum.
And they also have a big potato that you can stay in, an Airbnb.
Right.
That's one massive potato, and it's really is a shame you can't hotbox it.
I was just gonna say, could you get baked in your baked potato? That's very
exactly.
meta. You'd be twice baked.
Yeah, they won't let you bring the chives. The chives.
No
chives at that Idaho.
I'm smoking garlic in my baked potato.
This is something that that just came to my attention. May or may not be a hoax, but Shrek. There's a new Shrek out. What is it, Greg? Shrek 4? Do you know? Do you care? Five Shreks. Yeah. And so maybe the design of Shrek has changed a little bit. You've got different artists. I mean, when did the first Shrek come out? Like 25 years ago? So maybe some of those people have retired.
Oh, yeah. The technology has changed. It's one of those things where people are really reacting strongly to the new design of Shrek online. And from what I can tell, all that's been released is a trailer. And this movie doesn't come out for another 2 full years, like this Shrek movie. So they may pull a Sonic the Hedgehog and go back to the original design a little bit. But it just looks like they made it more Pixar, Disney-ish a little bit. And they strayed from the sort of Uncanny Valley local dentist commercial aesthetic of the 588-2300. They got away from that a little bit today. Yeah, Shrek says today.
Something called Freedom of Truth Updates, which has a picture of Kid Rock. I think it might be like fake. It might be like Christians Against Cartoons, another thing.
Oh, yes.
We're rolling out the inside jokes for me and Greg here today. Only 2 people, maybe 4 get it. But it might be fake, but there's this Freedom of Truth Updates account, I think on Twitter, that's getting passed around in Blue Sky, and it's got like these kind of phrenology diagrams of the 2 Shreks, and it says,
"Oh my god,
subliminal feminization of children's media, Part 6." And another account on Blue Sky who posted an AEJ link posted, "They are transvestigating the Shrek reboot on Facebook." Oh, it's on Facebook. So,
oh wow.
So is Shrek trans now because they gave him a nose job or something?
Forced feminization of Shrek. I'm into it. I think it should happen. I 100% agree in the forced feminization of Shrek.
I'm sure that there's some Shrek fan fiction out there.
Oh boy,
where it's already happened, and he was into it.
Yeah.
It's primed for bestiality. I mean,
Oh,
Listen,
sure.
I'm not just the other day I was tripping off of Donkey and the Dragon having babies and
Yeah.
trying to figure out the logistics.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
style? Is it donkey style, dragon
yeah.
style? How do you
Did he dunk her boob in a bowl of milk?
Hey! Salt and lemon.
Oh, bad.
It's like a tequila shot, but with titties.
ooh, totally the best tequila shot ever that doesn't have tequila in it. Loaf, Laoph, Loaf Meat on Blue Sky posted 2 images, the different Shreks, and alongside composite image of like several different iterations of Godzilla, and it says Shrek fans, the thing from my childhood looks different, Godzilla fans, and then all these different Godzillas, like just from the 50s through the American Godzillas and all the different Godzillas. Like Godzilla keeps changing.
Just like to complain. It's their whole personality and someone who's resistant to change. And they can't just agree to disagree on some bullshit like, oh man, Shrek looks different. It's not my favorite, but I enjoyed the first 4 movies. It's always going to be like, you have ruined my childhood and now I can't get a job.
Yes. Yes.
Reading comic books, like, just different artists, going way back, Steve Ditko drawing Spider-Man all kind of weird and his Steve Ditko way, and then John Romita takes it over forever, and then you've got McFarlane. You just got used to different Spider-Mans. You didn't freak out over it. It wasn't a conspiracy. It was just some other guy took over the book.
No, it's a conspiracy.
The John Romita papers.
Right. It's Rob Liefeld. How come we never see Spider-Man's feet?
That's only when Rob Liefeld is drawing it. I hear he's a really nice guy, so I shouldn't keep capping on him.
I follow him on X. I'm just teasing him. It's all in good fun, Rob, if you're listening.
Yeah.
You can make fun of my hair later.
Have you guys ever tried to draw feet on a ground plane? It's not easy, okay? So just crop it out. This is an artist pro tip. Just don't draw him.
That's fair.
It's hard.
Hey, this episode is going to drop after the Oscars because the Oscars are tomorrow, just to give you some perspective. But Philena, I did finally see The Substance.
Thoughts?
Oh, thoughts. I think it's great. I think if it was up to me, and I still have a couple movies to see, I'm going to see Nickel Boys tonight. But if it's up to me right now, that is Best Picture. And
yeah.
I was surprised at how arty it is. I wasn't expecting it to be that arty because it's like arty, like in a way that like a David Cronenberg movie isn't. Like as underground and indie as David Cronenberg, the director of Scanners and The Brood and all those movies
The Fly,
are.
right?
The Fly, yeah, Dead Ringers. Yeah, but the movies are very straightforward in the way that they are made. Just weird shit happens in them. Where The Substance is very, very, there's lots of long silences. I really loved that. There's a big influence of that you could see of not only Brian De Palma's Carrie. I mean, that's obvious. And then Kubrick's The Shining is in there.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't shy away or try to hide the influence of The Stuff. Yeah, I mean, because The Stuff, if you watch it, The Stuff is this movie from the 80s about this like diet yogurt that helps people lose weight, and it turns out to be this alien organism. And it has these fake 80s commercials for The Stuff that are very much like all the aerobicized videos in The Substance. So Larry Cohen's The Stuff. I mean, to somebody who knows about this shit like me, it's like, oh, that's just the stuff. The substance is just the stuff. And The Substance comes back at you like, yeah, it is. That's fine. Somebody had to revisit this fucking theme. It's only been 40 years.
We still haven't learned.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to fucking tell you?
Yeah.
The Stuff. You have been warned.
If the stuff comes back to Criterion or shows up on Tubi, you should watch it. It's not as good as The Substance, as much as it pains me to say that, but you'll find at least the first half hour of it when it has all those crazy commercials for the stuff to be highly entertaining and interesting.
I'm into that.
Also, Garrett Morris.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and he has a spectacular death scene in that film. No spoiler, but yeah, like it's one of the best.
Bro.
Bruh.
Yeah,
Bruh.
hey, look.
It's one of the best.
We knew he was going to die.
Yeah,
Right?
He's a
Yeah.
black man in a horror film. Does he die first?
Got you.
it's close to the first, for 1984 or whenever that came out. But yeah, it's the stuff, the substance. See them both. See them on a double feature. Come on, New Beverly. Come on, Roxy Balboa. Give us the stuff, the substance, double
Roxy
bill.
Balboa. Is that the gender
Roxy
flip?
Balboa. Hey,
Rocky
hey,
movies.
I'm gonna show you some movies, some weird old movies, maybe a couple foreign pictures.
Oh man, Roxy Balboa.
Yo, Adrian, and Adrian's a dude. 'Cause Roxy's-
Yes.
Adrian works. It's like that's Pat, but with Adrian.
Rox, this popcorn will make you crap thunder and piss lightning.
Yeah, Roxy Balboa and Red Vic.
Right. That was Roxy 4.
Yeah.
They take on the Russians.
In Roxy 4, the Red Vic died.
Yeah.
The Red Vic is died. It's dead.
It has.
Oh,
Yeah,
the Red Vic.
the Red
Watching
Vic.
Repo Man on the couches with yeast and butter on my popcorn. I think I smoked a joint in there once or twice too. I'm not gonna lie.
Look, I saw Jimi Hendrix concert film live at Isle of Wight, and there were a lot of people, maybe even myself, smoking doobies in there at that time in 1987.
Back when they were called doobies.
Doobies.
Yeah.
Do you want to smoke a doobie, OG?
When
I
you're
gotta
watching
bring
a
that joke
Hendrix
back.
movie, no matter when, if you're in a theater seeing a Hendrix concert film, it becomes a doobie, I think. You can call it whatever you want, but
Yeah, I think it's fair.
yeah. Greg, while we've got you, which we've got other animation news. Do you want to talk a little bit about the day the Earth blew up? I know that's something on your mind and on the minds of everybody who's into Looney Tunes and Warner Brothers cartoons and animation in general.
Well, it's really interesting because on the heels of Warner Brothers Discovery shelving the, by all accounts, amazing Coyote versus Acme film starring Wile E. Coyote and John Cena.
It's got Cena in it, and they shelved it?
Yes, it's got Cena, it's got Will Forte, it's got all the Looney Tunes characters. Apparently the plot is Wile E. Coyote suing the Acme Corporation for all the faulty products that it has sold him over the years.
That's a great premise.
It's a great premise. I mean, everyone that I've talked to who has seen it, they have done some sort of secret screenings of it over at Warner Brothers. Say that it's incredible, and it's a real crying shame that it's not come out. That it's being kind of shelved for the producers-esque reasons of tax write-off, which is basically fraud. But whatever. I wouldn't expect them to go around and then release a fully 2D animated feature film in theaters that is coming out on March 14th, called "The Day the Earth Blew Up," starring Daffy Duck and Porky Pig, and it's fully animated. There are no live action. There's no Michael Jordan, or any basketball going on or live action people whatsoever. It's a fully animated 2D film and the animation looks incredible. And while I do have my reservations about how the Looney Tunes have been treated over the last couple years since Discovery has taken over,
They all look completely different. All the voices have changed. Where's Mel
Yes.
Blanc?
I mean, the Looney Tunes always look different because we had Chuck Jones's, bugs, and you had Bob Clampett's bugs and McKimson's bugs. Tex Avery's bugs. They're all different. And I think in The Day the Earth Stood Still, they all look different within the same movie. And it's a glorious thing.
Oh, but Greg,
yes.
Porky Pig, there is a female pig.
Yes.
Porky Pig has a wife or a girlfriend in it. Is this leading to the feminization of men, Greg? That there's a pig with a dress and who has makeup on?
Yes.
Porky Pig has no genitals. So, and he proudly shows off his asexuality all over the place. So
there's no making bacon?
There's nothing. It's just rubbing. It's just rubbing.
It's a dry rub.
It's a dry
on your pork.
Yeah,
that's got to be the nastiest pickup line. Hey, come on over. Let me dry rub your pork.
All this to say, it is imperative. It is imperative. I'm just gonna roll right over that. It's imperative.
Sorry, Greg. Continue.
No. All this to say that it's kind of imperative that we go out to the theaters on March 14th and go see a 2D animated Looney Tunes movie in the theater to show our support and possibly get, the rust to come off that Coyote versus Acme decision and get that thing released at least on, friggin' HBO Max.
Fucking Max.
Yeah, at least put it on that. Like, put the stuff out there. It's really good, and people want to see these characters, and I think it's important for all of us to go to the theater and support Daffy and Porky and the aliens.
The Day the Earth Blew Up, starring the voice talents of Eric Bauza, will be hitting theaters on March 14th. Please take the time to get high as fuck and see it in the multiplex like you're 16 again or 6 again. You won't be sorry. Greg, what kind of weed would you smoke with The Day the Earth Blew Up?
What kind of weed would I smoke?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I mean, you should really ask Ngaio that because, I'm not the strain guy. But, I would definitely go for, like, some kind of a headbandy sativa type of thing. Something that makes you feel like you got rocks on your head. Like something with energy, something giggly.
Blue Dream is always a good choice for movies. Almost anything, really. But Blue Dream, I know I say it all the time, but if you don't know what to do if you're going to watch a movie, smoke some Blue Dream. I'm not.
It's a great all-purpose weed strain.
Top 10 in the all-arounds.
Yeah.
I'm going to recommend these Lost Farm Blue Dream gummies for this.
See?
Oh, yeah.
You eat them a couple hours before, take a Zoom or a Lyft to the theater if you have to, because you never know how hard even one 10 milligram gummy is going to hit you, because they're infused with resin, live resin, the substance.
Oh my God.
Would you take the substance in gummy form, Bob?
I don't want some weird, younger, sexier me bursting out of my back and showing up at my job and taking it away from me.
Yes. Exactly.
What? Why not?
I just don't want that to happen. Philena, before we roll on into the first movie, is there any burning issue on your mind right now?
I'd love to chat about what I just discovered. As some listeners may know, I have been on the hunt for a job, and I got one, and I go in my first day, and I find out that it's a cult. It's a multi-level marketing fucking scheme, and they hired me. They're like, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna raise money for the ASPCA, and I'm like, hell yeah, I love animals. I'm happy. I'm good at doing that. I'm great at selling people. I'm super charismatic, not to toot my own horn, but like I'm an icon and you obviously should hire me. And I find out that 60% of the money that I'm making for these animals is actually going to the marketing company.
Mm-hmm.
That's really fucking high. Like,
yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's not even 50-50. It's like 60-40. I called my parents yesterday and I was like, dude, I can't do it. Not only am I standing outside for 11 hours a day, I'm also, this is just morally wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were saying that it's not just an 8-hour thing. They want you to come in on the weekend.
Yes.
They want everyone to be friends.
They want everyone to, they're like, we're a family here. Everybody needs to be friends. And then, oh my God, this shit's really crazy. Okay, so I look up multi-level marketing, nonprofit, scam. And something that comes up is called Devil Corps. And I've never heard of them before. They're devil corporations. And it's basically cults in disguise as these job opportunities. And they hire literally fucking anyone. So I guess I'm not an icon. But yeah, they hire literally anyone. And they're like, you know, they get these people to stand out on the street and all this money trickles to the top. And I had a leader. And that leader got like made money off of the sales that I made.
Well, yeah.
There's a HBO documentary called Telemarketers, and it's about those people that call from like the various police nonprofits, and it goes deep into how corrupt and shady they are. So maybe check that out.
Watch The Beekeeper with Jason Statham. It'll
maybe not.
I don't know, man.
No.
She'll go on a revenge spree. She's gonna John Wick these people.
You'll feel better.
Sorry to hear that you were drawn into a multi-level marketing cult.
It's fine.
Listen, there are worse cults to be drawn into.
You're right. You're right. At least it wasn't like Nexium.
I mean, most jobs have an element of cult in them, right?
Definitely.
Most jobs do. You're kind of isolated away from the rest of the world. You've got people kind of manipulating you and asking you to do things, and there's always some kind of bowling night or something that you're going to get yanked into.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah. My SF State job is more like a monastic retreat than a cult. It's very, very much. There's very much a vow of poverty. It really takes me back to my childhood because I'm like, hey, can we order a laptop stand, like this $15 laptop stand? It's like, no, there isn't money in the budget for that. Look, you could stack phone books. Like they've saved phone books just so we can stack shit on them.
Wow.
Oh, that's
like I'm like, man, this is taking me back. Like this is really taking me back.
It's all cinder blocks and planks.
Yeah.
Which I love. People make fun of me. I love a cinder block and plank setup. I do. I do.
Yeah.
It's scalable.
Perfect for your albums.
It's sturdy.
Yeah.
You can break it down in a hurry when you have to move.
Mm-hmm.
And Count Dante could break it. With his hands.
Yes, and Count Dante can show you the dim mock.
ラーメンウエスタンって何のこと？ある町にふらりとやってきた男がラーメン屋の美しい未亡人を助け、その店を町一番のラーメン屋にして去っていく物語。つまりチェーンのラーメン版。それがタンポポだ。なんだ戻せ。できるまで何でもやるぞ。初めての本格食べ物活劇タンポポ。
Tampopo is a single mom with a dream. She wants to craft the best ramen in all of Japan. Ramen that will have them lining up around the block to get into the small restaurant that she inherited from her dead husband. Ramen that will have them slurping every noodle and gulping every last drop of broth. Unfortunately, her ramen sucks. But Goro, the dashing cowboy trucker, just rode into town, and he knows what it takes to make the perfect bowl. To whip Tampopo into shape, He trains her like Burgess Meredith, making Sylvester Stallone chase a chicken through an alley in Rocky 2. And Goro puts together a team that includes a homeless ramen sensei, a chauffeur who knows his noodles, and Tampopo's would-be boyfriend who can remodel her soup counter. But recounting this movie's central storyline does not do it justice because this movie bursts into so many weird and wonderful tangents. What about the sex habits of the gangster in white and his sexy gun mall? Or the CEO who's shown up by the junior exec at the swank French restaurant? Or the etiquette teacher who can't hold her class together? Or that lady squeezing the peaches in the supermarket? It's a saga of food, sex, and ambition. From director Juzo Itami and starring Tsutomu Yamazaki as Goro, a young Ken Watanabe as his sidekick Gun, and Nobuko Miyamoto in the title role. From 1985, this is Tampopo. Ngaio, we've talked about this movie a couple of times now. Please tell us about Tampopo.
It's in my top 10 of all-time movies of all time. It makes me horny and hungry, which is a great combination for me. The way it addresses culture, the way it looks at life, sex, death, and loud foods in movies. That's what the opening scene is one of my favorite scenes where the gangster's like, "Do we eat these fucking shrimp chips? I'll kill you. I'm trying to watch this film, bro." I think they should play it at art houses before they start the movies, just to remind people. I just think it's great, man. I think all the characters are colorful and well thought out. The food all looks delicious. The training montages are hilarious. Cats fight. It's got it all. It's the Magnificent Seven of ramen westerns.
Okay, Philena, I've been since we programmed it, I have been dying to get your thoughts on Tampopo.
Well, I loved it. I totally loved it. Totally. No, like literally. I loved it.
You can't go wrong. It's a great film.
No, it was awesome. I loved the like little stories like interjected in there. Oh my God, it was heartbreaking to watch the woman cook her family the last meal. Oh my God. I was like, that's how she's telling them that she loves them.
It's so dark too. Like, you have to cook for us. Oh,
I know. He's like, sing, do something. Oh, I know. Make us dinner. Yeah, get in the kitchen, woman. I don't know. I loved it. I loved it all. That fucking weird ass lady in the grocery store squeezing literally everything and running away. Oh my God. That was totally iconic.
Everybody knows you don't pinch the peaches, man. They'll bruise right up.
No! Oh my God. I was like, if I saw that bitch in a grocery store, I would scream! I would be like, how dare you fucking touch every single pastry? Oh, you nasty bitch!
So fucking gross. And then the supermarket manager that's chasing her around, it goes all Buster Keaton there for a while.
Yeah.
With a fly swatter.
That's probably foreplay for them.
Yeah.
Maybe. She's a little old, but like, good for them.
Old people still like to flirt, Philena.
Yeah, I forget. I'm sorry.
We do too. Like, did I flirt with you yesterday? I don't remember.
Now, what about the big sex scene in there between the gangster and his very sexy Japanese gun mall?
Dude. Yeah. What about it?
Things to do with egg yolks.
Yeah. Oh God. That made me gag. That made me fucking gag. That was so nasty.
It's so nasty.
It's
a little hot, though, be honest.
Over her white shirt.
You're giving it all away.
Outfit.
So good.
It's the climax. It's the climax. Greg, had you seen this movie before?
Well, see, I got really stoned. In fact, I got so stoned that I actually watched Top Copy instead of Tampopo.
At least tell me why Istanbul?
Because in Istanbul there is a top copy.
Top copy?
Well, that's a movie we got to feature, but when we feature that movie, Greg, you're going to have to watch Tampopo now. Just so you know that.
I know. I messed up. I guess I misread it or got it in my head that we were watching Top Copy, which is a great film for this podcast, but it's not the film that I was supposed to watch, apparently.
Apparently you were watching Lost in Translation.
Yes, indeed. I went to Istanbul instead of
Tokyo.
Constantinople.
Top Copy is a psychedelic diamond heist movie from the 60s with Peter Ustinov, directed by Jules Dassin. It's a great fucking movie, and it's a
heist film, and I haven't seen it?
Dude, okay, Ngaio, when we finally programmed Top Copy, which Greg's talked about it, I think this is wish fulfillment for Greg. This is
maybe
your subconscious going, I've wanted Bob to finally relent. And the reason we haven't programmed it is it's always on Pluto or something, and it's like something with
it's
too
on
many
Prime.
ads. Oh, it is on Prime now.
It's on Prime. I watched it on Prime, and it's a good print. The Technicolor is stunning. It's super weird in Ngaio. It's like really, really bizarre film. And yeah, it's a heist movie, and it's a pretty influential one. Like, I can see how, for example, like Mission Impossible probably never would have happened if it wasn't for Top Copy.
The producers said as much of that show at the time, that it was very much inspired by Top Copy.
But enough about Top Copy. Please go back to talking about Tampopo. And yeah, next time in Ngaio, you'll love it. You'll love it.
Philena, you and your dad are both vegetarians, and there is a lot of like culinary snuff and carnage in this movie.
Yes.
So how much did the pig's head gross you out? And there is a scene with the turtle that I didn't realize was there. That is, any Italian horror movie from the 70s, there's a good chance that there's animal snuff. I wasn't really expecting it in this movie, but there's a scene with the turtle, and it's right at the midpoint of the movie. If you want to skip over it.
Food.
It is. and to gross Philena and maybe Greg out even further, I mean, I have plunged poor live crabs into boiling pots of water at times. So it's culinary gore. But yeah, your thoughts on that, Philena? Any thoughts?
Well, so as per your warning, as soon as I saw a turtle, I went to go feed my cats. So I was, as there was nasty turtle stuff going on the TV, I was feeding my cats nasty turtles, probably, or whatever is inside of pate. I don't even know. The pig's head, it was like a little bit jarring. But listen, this is how I don't even know, 98% of the world eats. So what am I gonna do? Scream and cry? No.
You do go to supermarkets, so you're confronted with this somewhat regularly.
Exactly. I mean, I always see those lobster tanks in supermarkets, and I'm like, I want to take one home.
People do that. People buy a lobster and set it free.
Yeah.
I don't know how well a Maine lobster would do in the California coast. But hey, what's an invasive species amongst friends?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, we have too many lobsters in California. People, you have to go get all the lobsters.
Well, they can only catch and sell the males. The females are the women. The women crabs and lobsters are left in the sea. Because otherwise you depopulate shit really fast. You don't need as many men as we have. So if you want to depopulate men, people, feel free to do it.
And that's what I've literally been saying this whole time.
Don't start with me.
Yeah. We're old and ineffectual now, Philena, unless we run for office and then we fuck things up in a hurry.
Well, especially if you run for office. No, it's get them first.
Yeah. Ngaio, I have to ask you this as a meat eater, as a fellow carnivore, do you want to eat those yam sausages that come out. The pigs eat nothing but
that
yams.
was the discussion. I think if they're from higher up in the colon, then yes. But maybe if they're not from where they're really toward the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
towards
also,
the ass.
if I was hanging out with some super foodie dude in the woods, and he was like, "Hey, dog, you got to try these sweet potato pork sausages," I would be like, "Yeah, all right, bro, I trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you." So I trusted Mr. Gangster when he said that that's all they have to eat out there, and so it's just,
The pigs eat nothing but
straight
yams,
sweet potatoes. You gotta cook it. Like, it's not sushi.
Oh, you gotta
right?
throw it right on the fucking grill, man. I'm like,
you
I
gotta
want
keep it
that
on the grill too. Burn that shit a little bit. Make sure it's cooked all the way through.
Put it in my Weber Smoky Joe. I'm there for that. Like the boars eat nothing but yams, so their intestinal tract basically becomes a yam sausage, according to the gangster in Tampopo.
Yeah, I trust him. That guy knows how to eat. He's an epicure and a gourmand.
Oh, he knows what the fuck is up.
He knows what the fuck is up. He's living life, bro.
Yeah,
he's living life.
Now, Juzo Itami, like, the movie ends with a young baby sucking on a breast for a painfully long time as the credits roll, and this is something that you see.
Why was it painful? Why was it painful?
Yeah, exactly, Bob. Why were you uncomfortable by that?
Because oftentimes when I see women breastfeeding on the bus, it's like you have to say to yourself, don't look at the woman and her child breastfeeding. And so it just triggers that don't be a creep response that men have to.
That's fair.
It's first food. It's the first food.
Yeah, but you don't want to leer at it.
You're not supposed to stare. You're not supposed to stare at a woman while she's breastfeeding. You're not just supposed to be like, "Oh."
That's the reason it's painful.
Get some, little dude.
The movie is making it
up.
Get
big and strong.
Yeah. You don't want. It's
like,
fine.
I'm sorry. I have a fetish. I'm sorry.
No,
I don't. But I'm just saying you can't be that guy.
Yeah. You should watch the other Juzo Itami movies, because in A Taxing Woman, which also stars Miyamoto, who was his wife, they are a husband-wife team, and they made several movies. Tampopo's the only one that's super super trippy and weird. Like, the other ones are a little more straightforward. They're all kind of satires and comedies of various facets of Japanese society. But in A Taxing Woman, there is the Yakuza is trying to get, well, I don't want to go into too much detail, but they have an old man suck on this, like, prostitute's breast to get him to sign over his properties to them as part of their scam. So yeah, they made several movies together. They made two A Taxing Woman, which she is basically an IRS agent in Japan, that kind of government agent. And then there's also Supermarket Woman. So Taxing Woman and Supermarket Woman are the superheroes we need right now.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the superheroes for this moment. They were for this moment in Japan in the 80s, but we don't need Captain America, we don't need Superman, we don't need more Batman movies. We need more Supermarket Woman movies. But the weird thing about Juzo Itami is they made these comedies, him and Nobuko Miyamoto made these comedies together, but they were a little too close to home for the Yakuza. Like, they showed how the Yakuza scams and businesses work and how much they've infiltrated legitimate business in Japan. And so Juzo died under mysterious circumstances. They believe he was forced to jump off a building by the Yakuza. Like that, he did not commit suicide.
Did they at least let him suck a titty before he went? Like, one last wish. Can I just suck a titty one more time? You know, it's my thing.
There was an incident where some Yakuza thugs slashed him in the face and stabbed him several times, but he lived. Shit. And then he made a movie, I forget what it's called, but he made a movie that was basically taking on the Japanese healthcare system. That was a parody or a satire, a biting satire of healthcare in Japan. And then, he was forced to jump off a building by. So yeah, when you watch this movie, you don't expect it to roll that director to roll that hard, but he did. So
I mean, a lot of the satire was very cutting, and like you said, the kid showing up the boss at the fancy restaurant, and I'm completely on the kid side. By the way, if I get to go to a fancy restaurant, I'm definitely going to get into it. I'm not going to.
They're ordering the blandest fucking thing on the menu, and he's like, he knows what's up, and I'm like, oh, I want the escargot pastries. I wanted everything he ordered.
If your chef studied under Talivant, of course.
Yeah. And he's you asked to see the sommelier, as this podcast is a weed sommelier for films. You asked to see the sommelier in that kind of place. You asked for that fucking wine list.
I'm on his side the whole way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, put him in charge of the fucking company. He knows what's up.
Yeah.
I would have been, if I was the boss, I'd have been like, hey, listen, why don't you order for all of us, bro? You seem to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Dude, the boss ordered a Heineken. And I don't know shit about beers, but I know it's bad.
It's Heineken.
In the 80s, that was like a fancy beer, which is
really
the whole
was.
Blue Velvet thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like, we would buy Heineken when I was like, in my 20s, early 20s, or a little bit too young to really be buying. We'd buy Heineken.
It's like, come to think of it, I'll have a Heineken.
We would think we were sophisticated, The only thing that was like kind of a microbrew type thing back then that you could buy around here anyway was Anchorstein. That was
a good beer though.
Right. Well, they had the Henry Weinhardt's Private Reserve, which was
that's right.
Which was $5.99 a 12-pack. I mean, it doesn't get any more private than that.
Those $5 12 packs of Bergie or Milwaukee's Best, where you would drink like 15 beers and end up peeing on yourself. You would be so drunk.
You'd have to drink them fast too. They taste
because they're only like 3%, but you would drink a whole 12 pack and then some. Like me and Jim Henderson would try to we would buy what was it, Blatz, which was $5 for a case, and we would challenge ourselves to drink a whole fucking case of these things.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
we were 19.
Yeah.
And found somebody to buy up for us. That's what was wrong with us. We were 19. We were boys. We were men. And we were stupid.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. Anything else? Anything else to say about Tampopo? Anything?
Everyone should watch it at least once.
Including me.
Bring food or have dinner reservations for after the film. When I first saw it, I saw it with an ex-girlfriend, but we were still the homies. And so we went to see it together. And then afterwards, we had to eat because it would have been a bad idea for us to do it. So we just went and ate a lot of food and sublimated our tension.
Jesus.
I'm just saying it's a good movie. It puts you in the mood for things. It makes you think about stuff.
There's a pretty good ramen place around the corner from our house, thank God. So I'm able to get ramen takeout and Aoi teriyaki and ramen. And it's a bastardized ramen, but he makes a chipotle ramen.
What?
Which is really fucking good. It shouldn't be good.
Let's hear it for fusion food.
Yeah, it's so fucking good. So I had the chipotle seafood ramen and watched Tampopo because otherwise you're like, fuck, I can't watch any more of this.
There's a birria place up by my house, and they'll take a tub of the regular old Japanese ramen noodles or whatever, and then they pour the birria juice into it and then top it with a little birria, and it's like $10, bro, on a hot day. I mean, listen, if your blood pressure's high, it's chock full of sodium, so be careful.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Take your pills and run a lap, brother. Drink a lot of water.
I have to shout out the best vegetarian, vegan ramen place that's around me. It's called Gokoku, and it has vegan sushi and vegan ramen, and it rocks. It's so fucking good. I've had people who eat meat, and we go there, and they love it.
Yes.
So I'm telling you.
You said?
That place is great. In North Hollywood.
Yes, North Hollywood.
I'm down. Next time I'm there, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We should all go there.
And we'll be super critical. Like we'll watch How that was one of my favorite parts too. How they went to all the other ramen shops and stole their secrets and looked at how they did things.
I know.
It's a good meditation on mindfulness and food. It's just a good movie, bro.
I thought it was so funny too how she's literally stealing all of the best parts of every ramen place that's around her.
That's what makes you good.
And so she has this plagiarized ramen that she's serving.
Listen, ramen is closed source, bro. It's not an open source code. That code is all proprietary. It's proprietary source.
Especially for a woman trying to break into that. There's all these barriers in that society and almost any society, to be honest.
In the 80s in Japan, for sure.
Yeah.
I thought it was crazy how they were like, a woman making ramen? And it's like, yeah, isn't that like the norm? Like, aren't women like always cooking? Like, I thought that was like the thing.
Not in the professional shops. You mean she has a job and she's just not cooking for the love of her family?
Yeah.
Before she dies?
You're right. Before she dies a painful death.
It was the last thing she made for us. You have to eat it.
I know. And eating next to that dead body, like, ooh, scarfing it down.
We're kind of giving it away, but yeah.
Oh, man.
Missed out, Greg.
Yeah,
I did.
Before we get into weed, is there any TikTok report for this?
TikTok knows about Tampopo. TikTok definitely knows about Tampopo. There's quite a few, by Movie Good or Movie Bad. This is James from Baltimore. And he has absolutely amazing things to say. Not anything that we haven't said just now, pretty much.
Well,
it is receiving critical reviews, like critically good. It's been on my watch list and I loved it, long overdue watch for me, but I'm a sucker for movies that make me hungry. God, Tampopo was so good. Egg scene is nuts, someone says.
Almost really more like nut.
Yet, egg scene is nut! No!
No, singular. Sorry.
I know.
You can watch the egg scene on YouTube if you really just don't want to watch. But watch the whole film.
But you should watch the whole thing.
Of course.
Yeah.
Watch the egg scene with your pants off if you want.
Watch the egg scene with your parents in the room.
Yeah.
Oh.
I watched it with my wife and she was like, these people are too fucking weird. You know, she was getting all judgy at them.
I think you just need a smaller egg.
Well, the cost of eggs right now, that's a very, very
yeah, that's a very expensive fetish.
Yeah.
It's a very expensive fetish to have. Another one says, Tampopo is a very cool blend of comedy and culinary art, offering a delightful and unique cinematic experience. And then the creator of the post just said, real.
So, Ngaio, what kind of weed do you recommend with Tampopo?
I smoked a double lemon cherry from my man James Loud. I was just on his podcast, so go check it out. Because it was fruity and delicious and relatively uplifting, and but not too active. So I really enjoyed that, and I think it did give me a little bit of the munchies. So I think it was perfect.
Greg, what kind of weed did you smoke with Top Cappy with Peter Houston on?
I smoked the Peter Ustinov strain of weed.
It's a very dry strain.
It is. It's called Puro Punch.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. I don't know what I smoked. It was Greg, a lot of it.
Greg was just stoned for a whole day and put on a movie. You know, bro. It's a nice day outside.
Philena?
I smoked salt and lemon kush. Just kidding. It's just lemon kush. And I smoked a joint and it was phenomenal. And this is one that I rolled just now and everybody admire how beautiful it is.
I mean, you're showing that to.
I know. I'm showing it to a professional.
A real professional, like who's seen the best joints ever rolled.
That's a really nice joint.
Thank you. Any notes? Any notes in Ngaio?
No, it's perfect. You can't add, I'm not really, my joints are functional, but they're not aesthetic. So, but they burn very clean and nice.
We got glass tips in this bitch.
Yeah, y'all are fancy. I got weed in my teeth.
Glass tips.
Tampopo is currently streaming on Criterion Channel along with several extra features, including a making-of feature that's almost as long as the movie. Tampopo is also streaming on Max.
Hey, that's Don Knotts, the funny man from TV. You know, Don Knotts.
You?
Sure. And now Don Knotts stars in a big new color movie as the incredible Mr. Limpet. Now, you may ask, what makes this Mr. Limpet so incredible? Well, as a man, Limpet's what you'd call a poor fish.
If you paid half as much attention to me as you do those fish, I'd be the happiest wife in Flatbush.
It's just that fish are so bright and cheerful.
Look at him, George. Always drawing into his shell, going off into his fish world.
But as a fish, Limpet is, well, he's incredible.
You are Henry.
Yes, George.
Is there anything I can do for you, Henry?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about my helping the Navy.
You? In the Navy?
And go right to the top level. I don't want to waste any time on red tape.
As a secret weapon, he's incredible, too.
Das Limpet! Herr Kapitän! Das Limpet! Das Limpet! Das Limpet!
We've got the system now!
By 1964, Don Knotts had played bumbling deputy Barney Fife through 4 seasons and nearly 130 episodes of The Andy Griffith Show. Sure, it was great work if you could get it, but Don started to want something more. He landed a few parts in movies here and there, like playing a shoe clerk in Move Over Darling with Doris Day, and a cameo in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, but every comedian who drew breath at the time had a cameo in that one. But 1964 turned out to be Don Knotts' breakout year when he landed his first starring role in a big studio movie when he was cast as Henry Limpet, a nerdy accountant with big dreams of transforming into a fish and living under the sea. And Henry Limpet gets to live his dream when he falls into the water at Coney Island and turns into a fish that looks an awful lot like Don Knotts, right down to the Coke bottle glasses. Since this half-animated, half-live-action movie was produced by Warner Brothers and not Walt Disney, it's gotta have an edge to it, right? I mean, we're talking about the studio of Cagney and Bogey. So Don Knotts' nearsighted fish has to fight the Nazis in this hybrid of The Little Mermaid and Hogan's Heroes. With live action scenes directed by Arthur Lubin and the animation helmed by Robert McKimson, who directed several of the greatest Looney Tunes cartoons of all time, in my opinion. All this, plus the voice talent of the great Paul Frees. This is the incredible Mr. Limpet. Greg, you're the animator here. Why don't you start us off on the incredible Mr. Limpet?
Or did you actually watch some other movie? I just watched The Incredibles. My bad. I had it wrong.
No, he knew about this one because he was like...
Watch The Incredible Shrinking Man.
Oh, we've done that one.
Or the Lily Tomlin one.
Incredible Shrinking Woman.
Yeah,
that's right.
Greg was like, I don't know if I can make this episode. I'm like, God damn it, we finally did an animated movie, Greg. Please, just show up at 11:30. Just drop in. We got to do this one.
Well, I love this movie. This is a movie that I've seen many times. So even if I had mixed it up, I would have had a whole lifetime of knowledge of seeing it. Is one of the favorite choices for the Family Film Festival in the late 70s, early 80s, Los Angeles. If you got up on Sunday morning, it was always being shown. And, I loved it back then. I watched it again this week, and I was, I was surprised at, seeing it with adult eyes, just how weird, and it's dark in many ways. It's a dark film, especially for a mid '60s family comedy. I don't want to spoil the ending, but Mr. Limpet makes a choice. He definitely makes a choice, and it's maybe an unexpected one. The animation is really interesting from a technical point of view. This is 2D animation. The credited animation director is actually Bill Tytla, who is a Disney veteran going way back. He animated the scary demon on the mountain in the Night on Bald Mountain sequence of Fantasia. And he animated Stromboli in Pinocchio, which is a pretty formidable villain. He was one of the original Disney animators, but for whatever reason, the man himself, Walt Disney, didn't put him on a par with the other quote unquote 9 old men, because he was a little bit cartoonier. But man, what a talented dude! I mean, if anyone is a fan of Dumbo, he did some of the most touching animation between Dumbo and his mother.
That guy likes a dark theme, bro.
Oh my God! Well, unfortunately, by the time I spoke with the animation historian Jerry Beck about it years ago, who confirmed what Bob is saying, that McKimson really was the animation director, and this was mostly due to illness. Tytla was not really up to the task of producing all of it, but he did remain as the animation director in the credits. But if you watch any, especially late period Looney Tunes, you'll see Jerry Chiniquy, which I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I've only ever read it. I'm not nerdy enough to have talked about it with that many other animators. But he's yeah. I just wish that I had the correct pronunciation of his name. But Jerry, is a great animator too. Mostly worked with Friz Freleng, and had it was very helpful for me to study him when I was learning to animate, because he had kind of a formula that worked really well when it came to animating dialogue, and just the way he kind of approached the scene was really, really interesting to me. And of course, McKimson, is one of the all-time greats. He is the guy who redesigned Bugs Bunny from the kind of egg-headed Tex Avery version to the version that we all know today. He basically was the guy who cracked the code on Bugs's design, and created a ton of characters like Foghorn Leghorn and all those kind of more charactery. God, you remember that Little Red Riding Hood where she talked like this, and she was like, to have, I want a bunny to have, it was like that weird stuff. He was always into these weird characters. And so, this was the last production from Warner Brothers Animation. This was the last thing that they made before they sort of, laid everybody off and went dark themselves up until later years they started animating again. But yeah, this was the last gasp of Warner Animation.
the termite terrace, as it's called.
Yes.
Ngaio, you told me
Yes.
that you had not seen The Incredible Mr. Limpet in a long time. So what is it like to revisit it?
I don't remember it. I was probably 6 or 7 when it 1st came on, but yeah, it used to come on all the time, but I never really watched it. Don Knotts is underrated as an actor. I'm still not sure that I understand why Captain America is a fish. Because it's pretty much the Captain America story, except he turns into a fish instead of a super soldier. He's like a super powered fish with glasses.
Mhm.
And I was also kind of pleasantly surprised to see them discuss spawning in 1960.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And their children. Would you like to come with me to the spawning grounds? Also, what do you guys think of the Devonian era? How do you feel about the Devonian era?
He's deep in the spectrum in this movie. Like he is buried the needle. On
He
the
really
spectrum.
is deep in the spectrum. That's true. He's like an accountant who daydreams, and then he's got all the fish. It says the Devonian era is his Roman Empire.
Yes.
we need more men like him, really.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Instead of the Roman Empire or the Nazis, they're just dreaming of the Devonian era and being fish or dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he had to do something because his wife's clearly in love with his best friend.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's kind of weird for a family film.
Oh, yeah. What do you think about Philena? What do you think about Henry Limpet's relationship with Bessie, his wife, and played by Carol Cook, and also Ladyfish, played by Elizabeth McRae?
I have a lot to say about this.
Okay, yes.
Surprise.
Shut up. Oh my god. Listen. Okay, first of all, who the fuck? This is his friend? His friend? This is not his friend. This is not a friend to him. No. I don't know how these guys met, but this you guys are not close.
They're no Cap and Bucky.
No. Yeah. So she's so clearly. First of all, how the fuck did Mr. Limpet pull this woman?
Bruh.
She is so. She's gorgeous, and he literally looks like the turtle that got killed in Tampopo. You know,
Wow.
I don't understand.
I mean, listen. Nerdy, conventionally, non-conventionally attractive dudes pull hot chicks all the time, but they did not seem to have chemistry or a match, or you could tell maybe it all went wrong later. I don't know how they even started out.
Right.
Yeah. How did she? Yeah, I don't know. I don't see any world where she's not just like trying to have sex with this other like sailor guy.
Right.
That
Yeah.
It's not like he's Rock Hudson or anything either. I mean,
he's fugly too.
She clearly likes it,
dude.
She's clearly got a crush. Hey, maybe that's her thing.
That could be her thing. You're right.
She might like a nebbish.
He knows how to treat a lady, though. He wants to take her to Coney Island. You know, like he's fun. You know, like
the friend is fun, right? He likes to drink a little bit. They stay up late playing cards and dominoes while Mr. Limpet is sleeping or whatever.
Yeah,
he's reading his books. He's reading his books and he's staring at his fish. And and now Ladyfish. Ladyfish sounds like if Jennifer Coolidge was super horny. Like that voice actress was crazy for that. Oh, Limpet. Oh no. Oh my god. I was like, girl, get a grip. Get a grip. This is a fish with okay, I will also have to say, he looks way better as a fish. He has fish rizz. He does.
Never really thought about it that way.
He's got fish rizz, like, and then they have their like weird
He's way
little
more comfortable
dance.
as a fish. He's always wanted to be a fish.
He likes it.
It's Little Mermaid meets Captain America.
Exactly. He just like finds his confidence. He finds himself. Yeah, and then
it's the opposite of a fish out of water store. It's like a fish in the water store.
Yes, exactly. Put him in.
Think you're actually still alive, and I'm married to
A fish? Is that so terrible?
but doesn't happen every day.
I love the Patriot moment where he's picturing himself as a human marching with the I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But anyway, so okay. But back to the spawning ground. So she's like all excited to go lay eggs so that he can put cum on them, and that's how fish are made.
I'm surprised they didn't show that.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
They're trying to maintain their PG rating.
Exactly. I think they're cowards for that. I think he's a coward for not doing it. He's like, oh no, my wife. What am I gonna do with my Bessie? Oh, her name's Bessie, right?
Betsy.
Whatever.
What'd you say, Bob?
But Bessie, Bessie. They might say Betsy half the time, though. Who knows?
Bessie. Oh, it is Bessie. It is. Okay.
Short for Elizabeth.
Yeah, I don't know. I just can't believe that this guy turned into a fish to escape his bitch wife.
But wouldn't you rather be a fish?
He does right by her. Let me give a little bit of the plot.
No, he's a good dude and a better fish.
Yeah. He turns into a fish and he has this roar. He can make this really loud noise. So he uses this roar to alert the U.S. Navy that there are German U-boats in the water.
Yeah.
And
shortly after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. The war has just started, World War II. And we still were anti-fascists then instead of what we are now. and he uses this roar to take down the Nazis. But he demands the lieutenant's salary, and that goes to his human wife. So he does right by her.
Yeah,
he does right by her. Yeah, no, he does the right fish thing. He's a fish of honor.
Yeah,
there is, dare I say it,
a credit to his fish.
Dare I say it, there is kind of a trans storyline here, because at the end, he says that he was always meant to be a fish and that it has just been made right.
Yes.
It's so funny because I was gonna, and I don't know if there was a lot of bisexual lighting.
Yes, you're so right about that.
It's a generational thing.
So true.
There's a lot of bisexual lighting when it comes to Mr. Limpet. A lot of like that purple, pinky, bluey thing that they do with the bisexual coding.
Interesting.
What I'm led to believe by the kids.
I don't know. Maybe he and Krusty had a little chemistry too. Like that was just kind of. Yeah, God.
But hey, let trans people serve in the military. This fish person, he identified as a fish. He became a fish. He transitioned, and he defeated the German Navy. Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Single-handedly.
Yes. Yeah. Post transition.
They didn't even need to fire a shot. They didn't even need to shoot at the submarines. He just moved the
he did it on his own.
Torpedoes back to the subs.
A fish for all seasons.
Incredible.
I love all those scenes though, and this is just me probably. I love how they do. This is a thing in World War II movies for a while where they don't bother to subtitle the Germans talking for a very long time.
Right.
You can tell what they're saying. They're das Limpet,
yeah.
You
And they
get the gist.
They go into a Germanlish for a little while, so the audience, but they dare not subtitle anything. I mean, there's little kids watching, but if you watch the Desert Rats with James Mason, it begins with 5 minutes of James Mason and his German officers just talking amongst themselves in German with no subtitles. And at the end, he's pointing to a map saying they're going to attack Tobruk, but it's just a fucking thing in these movies. And it's also a thing in The Incredible Mr. Limpet. But
why don't you just learn German, Bob?
Yeah, I know. What kind of asshole am I, But yeah, it's just like, so some people might be kind of upset that there aren't subtitles, but they're just plotting against Mr. Limpet. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they just explain everything. Like in movies nowadays, they would want to know exactly what the mechanics are that changed him into a fish, rather than this just his.
Yeah, he didn't make a wish. He didn't.
No, he
No,
did.
There was no
He
magic
just-
involved. He just,
Yes, he did.
through sheer force of will, through manifestation of spectrum
Hello?
energy.
He said, I wish I was a fish. And then in the song, Be Careful What You Wish, there, it tells the whole story. So he wished it. He willed it into existence. Yes.
That's manifested it.
But if they made that movie
He
now,
manifested.
it would be like, well, how did he turn? I can just hear it now. How would he? How
He
does this
didn't make
work?
a deal with Ursula. There was no magic pebble.
Yeah, exactly.
Poseidon would have had to get involved or something,
exactly.
or some U.S. government
It
experiment.
was just sheer tism.
Exactly.
Tism. Shut up, bro. That's so funny.
The tism is strong with this.
Oh man. He did it.
Oh my fucking god, dude.
That's so funny. Wow.
Going back to Coyote versus Acme and the day the Earth blew up, and how David Zaslav and Warner Brothers are fucking up their animation now. Back then, this is nothing new. Not to justify what's being done with these animated films that they have in the can and could release. But when the Incredible Mr. Limpet came out, Jack Warner didn't like it. He didn't get it. So they didn't really push it very hard. It just kind of came and went. But Lou Wasserman saw it, and Lou Wasserman thought it was fucking great. And he met with Don Knotts. Lou Wasserman was he was the top agent of the 60s, like the guy, like, Ari Emanuel or whatever would be the guy now. And he met with Don Knotts, and he said, that movie was incredible. It was fantastic. It was incredible. I loved it. You're a great talent. If that movie was released by Disney, they would have known what to do with it, but stupid Jack Warner didn't know shit. And he signed Don Knotts to a deal. And then you get the Ghost of Mr. Chicken and the Reluctant Astronaut. And Don Knotts did 5 seasons of Andy Griffith, said that's enough. That was probably almost like 200 episodes. He was done. He's like, you could just have Jim Nabors and Gomer Pyle do stuff for a while, Andy.
Yeah.
I'm out. And he became a legit comedy movie star after that. So it was the entree into Don Knotts, the movie star.
I'm going to say the movie itself wasn't great, but Don Knotts was great in it. Like, you could definitely see his on-screen presence and charisma, and his comedy chops, and his voice acting was top-notch. And Don Knotts is a comedic legend, from the Apple Dumpling Gang to Mr. Furley to all these things. He's just really good at kind of being goofy and funny in a not a mean or denigratory. Is that a word?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not a deprecating way. It's just like his characters. That's just how they are. They're hilarious that way.
I remember as a child, like, I'm watching Three's Company. It's like my favorite fucking show because I was a child. But I remember when Don Knotts as Mr. Furley replaced the Ropers.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my mind at 9 years old, 10 years old, whatever it was, I was like, that guy's too big a star for this.
Yeah.
It was Marlon Brando as Superman's dad, or
Are you telling me that the star of the Apple Dumpling Gang,
like, somehow I knew that TV was kind of a step down for this guy who had name above the title. Like, I understood that.
Is the Reluctant Astronaut. How is he slumming about at the Regal Beagle in an Angel Flight pantsuit?
But Three's Company was huge. Like, somebody just posted on Blue Sky, like, the top 60 shows of 1979, and that was bigger than Happy Days, bigger than the $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was the top fucking show. So I mean, no, it wasn't a step down for him. But in my mind, as much as I love Three's Company, it's like, this is a big star. This is like Robert Redford becoming the landlord of Jack Tripper.
I have something to say about Mr. Furley. And it's not anything about him. It's not anything about Don Knotts at all. But when I was 16 years old, my best friend Bailey got me a fake ID. And there is a bar in the valley called Mr. Furley's that we would frequent. We frequented. I used to drink there underage all the fucking time. Allegedly, hypothetically, in theory. I don't know if I'd get in trouble now.
The statute of limitations on your underage drinking has run out, but you might get some, if Mr. Furley's still exists, they might get some attention from the Alcohol Bureau, yeah, they might.
Well, we got him off of Reddit, so like I would be surprised if they didn't get.
There's a bit in my act where I talk about how all the bars in my neighborhood were surprised when I turned 21.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like, dude, you have a tab.
Yeah.
Pay your tab and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you
I thought
doing?
you were 24.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't celebrate your 21st birthday in those places, Ngaio. You got to go somewhere you couldn't
it's
get
hilarious. They can't do anything about it now. It's too late. I passed the cool test.
Yeah.
This is before fake IDs, dude. I was just tall and cool.
For me, buying those monster packs of Bergie, it was the gas station mini mart that on Fifth Avenue in Redwood City that also had a really good El Gruyense taco truck. So it was like,
there you go.
Buy an enormous amount of beer or malt liquor and 4 tacos al pastor.
You sure you're not Mexican?
I am not. I can't. That would be stolen valor. Okay, Ngaio, what kind of weed would you pair with the incredible Mr. Limpet?
I watched this one in chunks. So I smoked the cookies, I smoked the Skittles, and I smoked maybe some carbon filter, I think was one that I smoked. Any weed. It's a fine movie. I'm going to say it's not my favorite animated feature of all time, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed Don Knotts. So you can't go wrong. That guy is a legitimate movie star. So, anything you want to smoke, have some popcorn or maybe tuna fish sandwiches.
Oh,
That feels sacrilege.
And a chart of the Devonian era.
The seafood ramen, the Chipotle seafood ramen with this. I smoked.
Or maybe something German. Have a schnitzel.
Sauerkraut.
It's the first.
I smoked lemon cherry pop, which is a variant of what Ngaio smoked. It's a sativa heavy hybrid. Oh, and it is from Sunset Connect. It's a pre-roll. Where am I going here?
I love those guys.
And it's the Fulton Fiver, and it looks like an old Muni transfer. So
it's
Greg
an old
and
Muni
Ngaio,
transfer, bro. Those guys are old school from way back.
wow.
I could not buy this. I saw that and I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck, that's the Muni transfer weed.
I'll tell you a
Oh,
story.
man.
So some friends of mine moved to San Francisco. This is back in the 90s. And they've been there, a couple, 3 weeks, maybe a month. And they come up to me and they're like, hey, dude, what's this new drug? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I'm down waiting for the 14 bus. And all these cats are walking up to me and they're like, late night. I got that late night. You need a late night? And I was like, that's the transfer, bro. It's the all-day transfer. Because when you go down to the bottom of the transfer, it says late night. That means that transfer is good till like 6 a.m. So the people would manage to steal them. And then they'd sell them to you for $2, and like a day pass was $5.
Right.
So for $2, you could ride the bus all day. And they're like, "I got that late night. You need a late night."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Is that coke or something?" I'm like, no, it's a bus transfer, bro. Ride the bus all day, square.
Nice.
I know they don't have public transportation in Pleasant.
I remember like haggling with those guys. Like, look, I'll give you 50 cents for it.
You're like, I got $1.
Yeah, I would haggle with them for that. I wanted it, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I would totally haggle with those guys.
$2.
You know, there is a indica dominant hybrid known as fish scales.
Oh, you sure it wasn't cocaine?
You know, that would explain some things.
Wait, you watch Top Cop?
Yeah, exactly. Why I watched that other movie. You know, I know we've already kind of gone into the weed strains, but I did want to point out that there was an attempt to redo Mr. Limpet in the early 2000s with Jim Carrey and the animation, the sort of Shrek-like 2000s animation that would have been really scary. They were planning on animating his actual face onto a fish, which
wow.
I can only imagine what in the Lawnmower Man that would have looked like.
Holy shit! Holy fucking shit! Philena just. She just made her background the fucking Jim Carrey Mr. Limpet. Oh my fucking god, it is.
Yes.
Oh, it's frightening. It's an infinity of horrors. It's scarier than anything Demi Moore did in The Substance. Okay?
It's bad.
Okay, I changed my mind. Now they have to make it.
Now they have to.
Ngaio, would you play Krusty the Krab in this one, like a stone Krusty?
I would play Krusty the Krab. I would also play Ladyfish. I'm down. I'm very versatile.
Yeah. It's got the whole bisexual kind of trans.
Yeah.
All the bisexual lighting.
Bisexual lighting in The Incredible Mr. Limpet.
Bisexual lighting. Look it up. It's a thing.
Oh yeah.
The bisexual lighting in The Incredible Mr. Limpet, which is now streaming on YouTube. Warner Brothers just made some of their movies available for free on YouTube. They've got the Phantom Toll Booth and American Ninja on there too. So definitely check out the Warner Brothers Classic channel on YouTube. Hey, thanks again, Ngaio. And Ngaio, you will be appearing at the New Mexico Legacy Cup on March 22nd at the El Rey Theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Christmas, baby.
Christmas in March.
I'll also be at the International Cannabis Business Conference and the Cannabis Festival in Barcelona, Spain the week before that. And then on the April 10th, I'm at the Tumble Root in Santa Fe.
Ngaio is worldwide, everybody.
International, baby.
You're pan-Latin because you're going from Spain to New Mexico.
Yeah, I'm heterosexual, but yeah. But Latin for
sure. So thanks, Ngaio. Thanks for doing this episode with us. Thanks for talking about Tampopo and The Incredible Mr. Limpet, which became the Livin' the Dream episode because I'm like, what ties these two movies together besides them being a little weird? And so, living the dream. So, we've been living the dream here today, and now we've got to go back to enduring the nightmare. But at least they haven't closed down the dispensaries yet. We've still got that, if nothing else. And we will be back in April for Easter 420. Yes, Easter falls on 420 this year, so we've got Hippie Jesus with Jesus Christ Superstar and Space Jesus with The Day the Earth Stood Still. And please subscribe because we're going to try to record a Gene Hackman tribute episode later this month, so you won't want to miss that if we can get our shit together and pour one out for Gene. And you can pack that in your bowl and rip it right here on Old Movies for Young Stoners.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.